Okay, so we're going to look at what playing between the lines means in simplistic terms, and then we're going to look at how that evolves into zone 14. What is zone 14? Why is it important? And then we're going to look at how we evolve from there and get into the golden zone and how the relation between all those things works on a tactics board. So let's start with playing in between the lines and what that means. And really simply, and I've set up an opposition defending team out of possession in blue in a really simple 4-4-2. They're spread all over the pitch. So it's just for ease of the tactics board. And then I've got a red attacking team in a 4-2-3-1. So we can really just draw this point out. So if we imagine quite simply that we've got lines across the pitch in between our units. So there's a space in between attack and defence, between the two lines, and there's a space in between midfield and the attackers by two lines again. So quite simply, playing between the lines would be normally in this sense. So if you imagine the 10 would really look to drop into this space here and exploit this space if a gap widens up, get turned in this area and cause problems. So playing between the lines, quite simply, is can we get the ball through to them in between the lines of the defence and the midfield, and can we use that space to our advantage? Okay, so the number 10 is probably the most important player in that space. You could do it in between the midfield and the attacking line. If they've pressed and the midfield hasn't followed, the pivot players could come and play in here and dictate tempo from there. So that's why it's important when we are defending that the gaps in between the defensive midfield and the gaps in between the midfield and the attack are really compact and they're really squeezed. And then obviously we've spoken before about it being squeezed across the pitch as well. How this evolves, something I'm going to talk about now, is zone 14. So if you imagine more like, excuse my lines, they're terrible, but this is zone 14 here. And this is where most assists or pre-assists come from. So when the 10 comes and picks the ball up in between the lines in this area here, which is zone 14 on the pitch, either they get loads of pre-assists from here, so the ball going from here to a player who then assists, so the pass before the assist, lots of those come from there, and lots of assists come from there. And the goals are normally scored from what we would call the golden zone, which is just another area here between the 6-yard line and the edge of the box, second 6-yard box, and 80% of goals are scored from that area. And I'm not sure if you can see those lines properly, but you can see them on the pitch there. So playing in between the lines is in between the defence and midfield and attack. Zone 14 is really important, as is the golden zone.